What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Stock Talk with David. I'm David. In this video, we're talking about Twitter. We're going to start off talking about what's recently happened with Twitter, some of the valuations, some of the fundamentals of the company, and then the technicals of where I think it's going to play out Monday, so tomorrow, and the rest of the week, right? So we have a lot of news to go through. So it's going to be structured that way. You can check down in the description below and then skip to the different chapters, right? So this is a great article off of Forbes to kick it off. This just summarizes what's happened with Twitter, and it's pretty interesting, right? So we know that previous to Elon's arrival on the board, Jack Dorsey, the former CEO, he had a lot of, and founder, he had a lot of issues with the board that was in place. So a lot of drama, but what we find here is that Musk on Thursday made an offer to buy Twitter at $54.2 a share. On Friday, the board announced basically that they weren't going to take that deal, that they think Twitter's worth way more, and they're not going to sell out to Elon, okay? On Friday, so they announced that they're also going to do this poison pill measure. Basically what this means is that if it looks like there's another takeover attempt, someone's trying to come for the company, they can essentially issue as many shares as they want and dilute the price of the stock, making it that much harder for the person doing the takeover, right, to actually acquire the company. So it's a way for them to keep the Twitter board, to keep the company public, and to keep away any other hostile takeovers. That's essentially it, right? And so this Forbes writer is saying it looks like they have little interest in accepting Musk's proposal, obviously. So now we're going to jump into the fundamentals of the company, and we have to be extremely honest, and we have to ask, okay, just the pure fact of Elon stepping onto the board, does that actually change the valuation of the company? And the answer is no. Does any of this affect the valuation of the company? Not really. If anything, it actually negatively impacts the valuation of the company, in my mind, for a couple of reasons, right? Number one would be that they have the liability, and this won't really be written on the books anywhere. This is just something you have to know pre-existing about the company, that they have this measure in place now where they can essentially dilute anyone. So it kind of makes me want to stay away from it, right? Secondly, what we know about the company is that they run off of reputation, right? They don't have the strongest numbers. They don't have the best numbers. And so what does that mean? Well, any news that comes out, any public consensus or sentiment towards the company can really impact the share price of a company like Twitter. And so Elon's done a really good job of painting the board as the bad guys. And that could get, some short-term headwinds into the company, right? And we can look here over time. Now we're actually jumping into the fundamentals. And now that we're jumping into the fundamentals, we can see for the last 5 years or so that we've got pretty up and down EPS, right? And I'm actually going to look at this gap number. Although normalized is a better one to look at, everyone reacts first to gap. And so what we're finding with gap is we have a down year, a supremely up year, an increase, a terrible decrease in 2020, another decrease, and predicted to have another decrease in 2022. So for me, that just says that, they're not really making that much money. They're not doing a good job making money. Now, furthermore, when I get in here to the, when I look over here at the revenues, they're growing. Net income, to me, doesn't really match up with where the revenue is. Right? If the revenue's growing, the net income should be moving at a pretty good pace. We can see that here and here, and we just don't see it, right? We look at the debt's not going anywhere. Free cash flow, they're losing free cash flow. Gross margin, not going anywhere. So I have to think about things like that when it comes to the company, right? So just fundamentally knowing that this hasn't changed anything, Twitter is not a great company fundamentally, just being extremely objective looking and looking at it with the previous facts that I just mentioned, okay? Now, this is the part where most people are probably really wanting to know. Where does this open on Monday, right? So today is Easter, today's Sunday before the market opens, and we're going to look at this. So I've got Twitter up here. I'm using TradingView. We have about a year's worth of data on here, and I'm actually using a Fibonacci retracement, and I've just started using these but I think it does a good job of showing where the potential support and resistance levels are. So very top here, we can see we have this resistance at 73. This was in July. If we come back here, another support resistance here. And it actually does a good job picking out the levels. But what I'm looking for is we have this base at 31. We have another resistance at 40. And we have this price action happening between 45 and 52. Right? Remember, 52.4 is the sweet spot for Musk offer. Now, what I'm looking at is a very strong chance that this is going to happen on Monday, is that the stock price completely just capitulates to the downside. Everyone that was holding, expecting it to get a big bid, they're all leaving, right? This is shown from the previous day's price action. A lot of volatility here, a lot of selling volume. This is also shown on this volume indicator as well. So this being said, if they capitulate downwards, it's a very easy ride to $40 a share, okay? That's the first point. And then the second point, in my belief, it would actually be around 35. I would say that's probably the sweet spot. That's very close to where we were trading before Musk. And I think that is where Twitter is going to end at, okay? So there's a few ways to play it. But I would just be very careful. We like options on this channel, but you have to understand, very volatile situation increases the price of the options, and that makes it just that much harder to make extra money on the options themselves. If you have questions about that or you want to know more, be sure to check out some of my other videos about options, and it also will help you a lot. So that's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I hope everyone has a great week. As always, if you have any questions, be sure to leave it down in the comment below, and I always answer them back. So thanks, guys.